What's happening, everybody? Sorry I'm a little late. Had to take care of some stuff, but better late than never. Welcome to week 14. Hopefully, everybody had a nice holiday. Back at it ahead of Thursday night football between the Cowboys and the Lions. So we'll talk shop ahead of this game, whatever you guys need. We can start, of course, looking at start-sit questions. Now that we're starting to get practice reports, not everything is known just yet. As far that includes tonight. We don't know about some certain stuff with, I guess specifically with Amon-Ra. We'll see if we get any updates here while we're live, and we can talk shop and address it as needed as it comes up. Let's see. For tonight's game, it's a big one. A lot of fantasy implications in all likelihood tonight between the Cowboys and the Lions. Starting Dak Prescott in all formats. Cowboys have the best passing attack in the NFL right now. He is a must start at quarterback. Jared Goff is a great option tonight. It just sucks that, we already know he's not going to have Sam Laporta. He's not coming back this year. Brock Wright is also on injured reserve. That happened earlier today. So the Lions are down to very few options at tight end. But obviously, at best, Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to be operating at probably like 50%, and that's even if he's able to go. So while Goff is in a great spot, the Cowboys give up a lot of production to opposing quarterbacks. The lack of weapons does make him a little bit more volatile. I would probably put him on the low-end QB1 range. If Amon-Ra was definitively playing without any injury issues, Goff would probably be a top 6 or 7 option this week at home against the Dallas defense. But without Amon-Ra, more like a low-end QB1, and honestly, that might be a tough number to hit without Amon-Ra. Still has Jameson Williams, still has Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery as a viable pass catcher. So it's possible for Goff to come through, but a little less comfortability with him given the status of Amon-Ra. Jahmyr Gibbs, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, all must starts. And honestly, I think Jameson Williams is a must start just without no Sam Laporta and on top of Amon-Ra being banged up. I mean, JMO should handle as much work, as much volume, as much usage tonight that the Lions can conceivably plan up and scheme up for him. So, I'm finding ways for me to get him into my lineup by any means necessary. I definitely want to play JMO tonight for sure. Javonte can be started. Super high floor. Just being attached to the Cowboys offense. He's a part of your lineup. He's in. Maybe not the best situation on paper on the road. But I will take the main starters in the Cowboys offense for fantasy purposes right now. You want Javonte in your lineup. Obviously, depending on Amon-Ra's availability, Isaac TeSlaa could be somebody who slides into an expanded role. Probably will with or without Amon-Ra. We'll probably see a lot of TeSlaa tonight. If Amon-Ra is active, TeSlaa is probably going to be tough to trust. Even though, again, we know Amon-Ra is going to be operating at significantly less than 100%, even if he is able to go. So TeSlaa could have some decent usage tonight, but if Amon-Ra is active, it does make it a little bit trickier to trust him. And then, if Amon-Ra is out, that does boost David Montgomery a little bit. He's been He's been tough to trust for fantasy purposes. He got the touchdown last week. That was great. He certainly could do that again tonight at home, especially without Amon-Ra. He's on the boring RB2 radar if Amon-Ra is out. Just, they're going to need somebody somewhere, somehow, some way to help pick up the slack. If Amon-Ra is active, David Montgomery, like Tesla, is a little bit trickier to trust. But he is a good player. He's just, Jahmyr Gibbs has taken over, and deservedly, rightfully so. Jake Ferguson can be started. He's a low-end tight end one, just based on the fact that he's attached to the offense, but there could be better options on the wire. Like, I would rather play Zach Ertz. I would rather play Brenton Strange. I'd rather play Harold Fannin. But, depending on other options, you could go to Ferguson, but he's more on the low-end tight end 1, high-end tight end 2 radar, and because of CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, he doesn't have a ton of upside. But at least he's attached to the offense, so, could do worse. Okay, those are my general thoughts on tonight. Let's quickly go over, and I see everybody's questions. Appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out tonight. Let me quickly go over the latest injury updates that we have, not just for this game, but the rest of Sunday as well, and then we will get into it. I'll try to do this quickly. Let's see. Jalen Carter underwent a procedure on both shoulders. He will be out for the Eagles this week. Boost for the Chargers offense, who is looking like they will have Justin Herbert. He is practicing in a limited fashion. The coaching staff said earlier today they feel good about him. It was a fracture on his non-throwing hand. He had a procedure done on it. Sounds like he's going to be good to go. It'll just be a pain tolerance thing. Not playing Jalen Carter will help. Lamar Jackson did not participate today. He practiced yesterday. Now he's not practicing Thursday. The Ravens offense has been in a funk, and Lamar Jackson has not been himself since he returned from injury and basically most of this year. I would be probably looking for alternate options to Lamar Jackson this week, which I know sounds crazy, but that's how underperforming he has been. Obviously, don't be desperate. Don't go crazy. There is a certain cutoff where you have to grin and bear it and play Lamar Jackson, but if you have comparable options, you should probably go in that direction. Rome Odunze not practicing. Keep an eye on that one. We'll see what his availability for practice is tomorrow. But we may not have Odunze for Sunday against the Packers. Kyle Monangai limited in practice on Thursday. He's forced a full-blown committee with DeAndre Swift. But that being said, both running backs are pretty trustworthy, even though it's not a great matchup against the Packers. Penei Sewell will play tonight, so that's a boost for the Lions offense with all of the issues and injuries that they have right now. Todd Monken did say that he expects Lamar to play on Sunday, but not practicing on Thursday is it's not a great feeling. Let's see what tomorrow brings. J.J. McCarthy cleared concussion protocol. You're not starting any Vikings, I guess, except Justin Jefferson, and even he's a wide receiver 3 at this point. That's how bad the Vikings quarterbacks are. Parker Washington limited. It's the Jacoby Myers show officially in Jacksonville. Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Marshawn Lloyd limited in practice for the Packers, so they could be getting healthy at the right time, getting some reinforcements at the right time. But we're not playing any one of those guys in fantasy. Jaden Daniels fully practicing on Thursday. Could be making his return for Washington after suffering a dislocated elbow a few weeks ago. Going to be tough to trust in his first game back, but if he is available and he's out there on waivers, and you're headed toward the playoffs without a slam dunk situation at quarterback, scoop him. Find a way to get him on your roster. Dalton Kincaid limited in practice on Thursday, so he could be tracking toward a return. It would be great if he could play against Cincinnati. They are a funnel against, well, everybody. Josh Palmer not practicing on Thursday. Okay. Aaron Jones limited in practice. Again, I don't want to play any Viking not named Justin Jefferson, and even that feels dicey. T. Higgins looks like he is going to return from concussion protocol after missing Thanksgiving against the Ravens. He fully practiced today. That's great. Alvin Kamara not practicing for the second straight day. That's no surprise. He's expected to miss multiple weeks. Devin Neal will get another opportunity. We don't feel good about his chances, though, against the Buccaneers. Chris Olave is limited. You are firing him up, though, assuming he goes. He's been quite good, and Tyler Shuck has been better than I think a lot of people probably expected. Mike Evans limited in practice on Thursday. This will be an interesting one to keep an eye on. Pay attention to the Bucs practice reports, especially if you have Emeka Egbuka. It could actually be a boost if Mike Evans plays and takes some of the pressure, takes some of the defensive game plan away from Egbuka. That could help free the rookie up. He's been in a slump recently. Drake London not practicing on Thursday. I would say his status is in doubt, but obviously he still has another practice to potentially get right and go. If London practices in a limited fashion tomorrow, that would put him on track to return after a one-game absence, but he could certainly end up missing Week 14. Dylan Sampson not practicing. Quinshon Judkins is likely going to handle all the work he can this Sunday. Sampson dealing with a calf injury. Woody Marks is practicing. That's a good sign. Who they got? They have Indianapolis this week, I believe. No, they have Kansas City. That's a tough matchup. That is a tough matchup. They had Indy last week, I think. Houston has Kansas City this week. Really don't want to play Woody Marks. Not against the Chiefs. That's a tough sell. But obviously, you may not have better options. Marvin Harrison, Trey Benson not practicing again on Thursday. Trey Benson can be dropped. I do not think he any longer has stash appeal. His 21-day practice window was opened, and then he suffered a setback in practice. That was the report earlier this week. If he does not get activated after his practice window was opened, he will go back on injured reserve and will be ineligible to return for the rest of the season. I do not think we can expect Trey Benson to come back this year at this point. He's already looking like he is trending toward missing this week with back-to-back missed practices. And again, the practice window has been opened. It's probably going to be Amari DiMercato and Bam Knight from here on out for Arizona, and Michael Carter. That'll be the three guys that they rock with as they move to the end of their season. That's the other thing. Arizona is eliminated from the playoffs. Trey Benson is one of their younger players that could potentially have a future with the team. If he suffered a setback with his injury, they're not going to rush him out there when they're already eliminated from the playoffs. I would not expect to see Trey Benson again this year. I would go as far as to say he can safely be dropped if you were stashing him, whether on your bench or on injured reserve. As for Marvin Harrison, let's go ahead and probably plan to not have him this week against the Rams. Amarian Hampton limited in practice on Thursday. He, his practice window was opened last week, and then he was ultimately ruled out. Let's see if he returns for Week 14. That has been the vibe, but obviously he's still on IR. The Chargers need to activate him, so we shall see. And that's all we have. That is all of the injury updates that we have. So we'll keep an eye on injury updates for this game as they roll in. And if we get any other updates from any West Coast teams where practice reports are coming in late, I'll see if we can keep an eye on them. Okay, let's get into the questions. Let me do my spiel, though, first. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. Members will get first priority in responses to their questions and comments. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You can find more details about becoming a member of the channel in the first link in the description of this live stream. If you send a super, you do not have to, but if you are feeling generous enough, that would also be a way to jump the line and get your questions answered in priority order. You may also get a little bit more out of me as far as my answer, my thought process, my analysis, as a member or as a super sender. Just as an added perk. If you are not a member and you do not send a super, I will get to your questions, but I do ask for some patience as I work through the aforementioned two first. And whether or not you are a member, if you are enjoying the conversation, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate that in advance. I see Bobby. What's going on, Bobby? Congrats on making the playoffs. Is that Juan Dier? I hope I said that correctly. I see you sent a super. Appreciate that. I will make sure to get to your question ahead of some of the others. Sport Dog, what's going on? And those are the members that I see tonight. Appreciate you guys coming in so far and hanging out. Let's get into it. Glad to see you made the playoffs, Bobby. Well done. Congratulations. Glad you grabbed Burrow. You still have love. I get it. And he had a good week on Thanksgiving, and now he's getting healthy. Or his supporting cast is getting healthy. Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, both practicing. Marshawn Lloyd, for whatever that counts. Kudos for sticking through with your guy. I was calling Love a drop weeks ago. You hung in there, and maybe you'll be rewarded. It's possible. The Packers appear to be getting healthy on offense. Is this a start question? Do you drop Jordan Mason for Emmanuel Wilson? Yes, I would. I would. Jordan, I know Aaron Jones got banged up in the Vikings' last game, but he did return to practice this week in a limited fashion. It looks like he's not going to miss any time, and honestly, I just don't really care to have any parts of the Vikings' offense right now. They're bad, and it has everything to do with their quarterback play. J.J. McCarthy has been anything other than advertised. He's probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL right now, or at best, he's bottom 3. It's been that bad. I don't really want a piece of the Vikings. That includes Justin Jefferson, who you probably have to start just out of desperation if you have him. No, I'm fine moving on from Mason for Emmanuel Wilson. That's totally fine. That's totally fine with me. Yeah. As far as who you're starting, start Javonte tonight for sure. Some of these other guys are on bye. And you do have Justin Jefferson. Yeah, you mean you probably have to start him. Tet's on bye. Evans is banged up. You don't know if you're going to have him. So definitely plan to play Javonte tonight, Bobby, and then we'll sort out the rest as we move through the week. But I would pick up Emmanuel Wilson to handcuff Jacobs. Question above from I'm just going to say Wand, if that's okay, because Wand for the first 4 letters is easy enough. But feel free to give me the correct pronunciation if you would like. Flexing 1 between Swift, Sutton, Devontae Smith, and A.D. Mitchell. So Swift gets the Packers. I don't think he's been on the injury report, so that's good. Sutton, the Broncos get the Raiders. That's not bad, but Sutton has been quiet recently. Or A.D. Mitchell against the Dolphins in a great matchup. Probably Swift. I mean, it is a bad matchup. Oh, shoot. Devontae Smith. Duh. The Eagles get the Chargers. But the Eagles offense has been difficult to trust. They've been tough to trust. Devontae Smith has been quiet the past 4 weeks. So I think for me here, it comes down to, what's your situation? Can you get away with a floor play? Do you feel good? I don't want to ask if you're a favorite or you're an underdog. I know I've done that in the past, but I hate looking at projections because projections are just computers telling you, the results of 10,000 random scenarios that they spit into a computer. But the game is actually played on Sunday, which I know we all know, but I know it's also easy to get caught up in projections. So I'm not going to allow myself to do that right now. Do you feel good about your team and your team in your matchup this Sunday? If you feel good about your prospects, you like your guys against your opponent's guys, I would maybe say play Swift, go for the high floor. If on the flip side, are you feeling a little bit more desperate? Are you feeling I don't take a bird's eye view? Obviously it's always easy for us to look at our team and feel great, but objectively speaking, can you look at your opponent and say, I have an uphill battle. My opponent has a good team. I need to be aggressive. I need to swing for the fences. Then that's maybe Devontae Smith, although his floor is lower because the Eagles' offense has not been anywhere close to as good as it was in 2024. That being said, Devontae is probably the best player of this group. He's just in a crappy situation. I will say Swift is your floor play. Devontae is your upside play with a little bit more downside. It depends on how, what your risk tolerance is and maybe what your specific situation is. As for the defense, the Ravens have been playing a little bit better, and the Steelers' offense is putrid. The Titans, okay, fine. They're scrappy. It's just not a good team. They're not a good team, and I don't expect them to be winning that many games. I guess they could beat the Browns, but Cleveland's got an incredible defense. And I would think they are the unit that is the strongest in this game. And so, what happens if the Cleveland defense creates a short field for the Browns offense, and then, Tennessee is put in some less than ideal situations. Baltimore gets Pittsburgh. Tennessee gets Cleveland. Where are those games? Who's the home team? Tennessee's on the road. See, I don't like that. I know, like with Shador, it's definitely possible that the Titans do okay, but they're on the road and they're a one-win team. I don't feel good about that. I think I would take the Ravens. They've been playing a little bit better. I know Lamar hasn't been great, but I'll take Baltimore. Pittsburgh's offense is not scary. Like, yeah, DK Metcalf is okay. Jaylen Warren's a decent player, but, like, they have no depth. And Aaron Rodgers looks the every part of a 40-year-old quarterback out there. I'll take the Ravens in a big division game at home. I'll take Baltimore. Underdog for sure. Okay. Maybe swing for the fences then and go Devontae Smith. Swing for the upside. I would swing for the fences. Assuming Dak and Pickens and CD do their thing, or Ferguson and Pickens do their thing. If they do, play Devontae. If they are not great, if they have a bit of a pedestrian night, which I'm not expecting, but you never know, then maybe you can get away with playing Swift. So let's maybe see what happens and go from there. But I would definitely play the Ravens at home. Okay. And thank you for the super. Let me know if you need anything else. Sport Dog, what's going on? JMO and start JMO, start Pickens for sure. They're wide receiver ones tonight. Well, JMO's like maybe a high-end wide receiver too. Pickens is a wide receiver one. But both great options. Very good options. And yes, I fully agree. Like I said, if you have comparable options to Lamar Jackson, I would play the comparable alternate options. Burrow is absolutely that. Could be a shootout against the Bills. On the other side, you got Josh Allen. There could be a lot of points scored in that game. The Bills have a decent pass defense. They don't have a good run defense. I'm not really worried about those specifics, though, because it's Joe freaking Burrow and he's getting T. Higgins back. So 100% I'm playing Burrow over Lamar. 100%. Well done to anybody who either held Burrow or if he was dropped and you picked him up. Congrats. Like, you should feel very good. I think you have your QB1 for the playoffs, especially if you've got a guy struggling right now like Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, well done, Sport Dog. Well done grabbing Burrow. He is over Lamar Jackson until further notice. We'll see what Lamar does this weekend, but he hasn't been Lamar. He just hasn't. He has not been vintage Lamar this year. Yeah, I think that ankle injury is bothering him quite a bit. And yeah, they just seem to be in a funk. Okay, I think those are the member questions. I'm doing just one last pass. The member and super questions. Yep. All right. Back to the top. Appreciate everybody's patience. Let's get it going. Win and in situation. Let's go. Playoffs, baby. Playoffs on the line this weekend. Let's clinch those berths if we haven't. You have AD Mitchell and Marv. It sounds like Marv is trending toward not playing. So drop one for Vidal or Algier. Is that the question? The Falcons have the Seahawks this week. I don't like that. Where is that game? It's in Atlanta. So I guess that's a little bit better. It's a little bit better for Algier. He does seem to do well at home, and he gets a lot of goal line opportunities. Vidal, of course, is potentially losing value because Hampton is back, but we're not going to 100% know that until Monday. I would say let's revisit this one on Saturday if you are able to come back Saturday. Um, if we have a little bit more clarity on Hampton then and what his role may look like on Monday night. But I think right now, I guess I would plan to go Algier just because, I would probably go Vidal. He's been the workhorse for the Chargers. Algier's been getting touchdowns, but he's not the workout horse, obviously. Vidal has been the workhorse and may have like a starter or 1A type of role for at least one more week, even when Hampton comes back, assuming they ease him back into action. And Justin Herbert's going to play, it seems like, so I feel better about the Chargers than I do with Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta offense. I'll say Vidal. As far as Daniel Jones versus Bo Nix, I mean, Nix has been he had a good game against Washington, and he's got another good matchup against Vegas. But Daniel Jones has a great matchup against Jacksonville, and I think that's where I would go. He's been the better player this year. I know he's been kind of quiet recently as he deals with his leg injury. But this is a great spot for him. I will take Danny Dimes over Bo Nix. And then what's this last one? Evans, Vele, Tesla, Higgins. Maybe just plan to play Tesla tonight if Amon-Ra is out, because it's a great matchup against the Cowboys. But let's wait and see. Let's wait and see if we get any specific information about Amon-Ra and his availability before the end of the stream. If Jaden plays, would I plug him in confidently, or would I go with Lawrence, CJ Stroud, or Tyrod? Yeah, like these guys are all the kind of cutoff of like, yes, if I have a healthy Jaden Daniels, I want to fire him up. Let's wait and see. Luckily, it's not like a Dak or Goff question, so we can wait and definitively get news about whether it'll be Daniels or whether it'll be Mariota. If Daniels plays and we get positive vibes that, there's no limitations and that he's fine and he's ready to rock, then I would probably play Daniels. There definitely is some pause, though. Dislocated elbow. That's a tough spot. So, there's not all the confidence in the world just yet. We need to get a positive update first, like another one, maybe another couple. Fully practices on Friday, and then on the weekend, like some report that he's feeling great, no limitations, like is ready to roll and is 100%. Then I might go Daniels. Anything less, I kind of like the spot Lawrence is in. It could be a shootout against Indianapolis. I would probably go Lawrence, and he's been on a bit of a heater recently. So based on the vibes that we get from Jaden Daniels, we'll go from there. If it's all positive and he's active, Daniels. Anything less, Lawrence. Joe Burrow or Daniel Jones? What is the weather supposed to be in Buffalo this week? It's not a bad call out. Sunday, precipitation, 40% chance, 11-mile-per-hour winds. It's going to be cold. And the question is Joe Burrow or Daniel Jones? Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow. If it was like 40-mile-per-hour winds or even like 20 to 25-mile-per-hour winds, okay, fine. I'd be a little bit more concerned about that. I'm not worried about rain and snow. I would be more worried about wind. And yeah, it's going to be cold, but like Burrow plays in Cincinnati. There's cold weather games all the time. He plays in the AFC North, cold weather games all the time. He's had deep playoff runs where he's played in playoff games in Buffalo, in Kansas City. The cold weather is nothing new for Joe Burrow. And again, the wind isn't going to be that bad. I would not be worried about the weather. I'm starting Joe Burrow. Yes, Daniel Jones is in a decent spot. They're in the Dome, right? Or where is that game? Either way, he's either in the Dome or in Jacksonville. Where is that freaking game? It's in Jacksonville. Okay. Obviously, there's not going to be weather to be worried about in Jacksonville. It is going to rain. It looks like it's going to rain. Okay, so yeah, it's going to be a little bit warmer. A little bit. It's going to be 30 degrees warmer. So that is going to be a little bit more comfortable. But now we're just talking about like the better player, and that's Joe Burrow. I'm playing Burrow over Daniel Jones. I'm not worried about cold weather for Burrow. He's a dog. He'll be fine. And then Strange, Ferguson, or Waller. Not Ferguson. Not Ferguson. Waller on the road against the Jets. What's the East Rutherford weather? Because this is that time of year. It's a good call out to be looking at weather just in general for the Northeast, Boston, New York, Philly, Buffalo, and then the Midwest, right? Chicago, Kansas City, like the Midwest cities and the Northeast cities, like that don't play in domes, and most of them don't. So it's a good time to look at that type of stuff. MetLife looks like it should be fine. It's going to be cold, but no issues there. So basically for me, it's between Waller or Strange, just because Ferguson, I think, his floor is lower, just because CD and Pickens are taking all of the opportunities. I guess I would take Strange of these three. It's a good matchup. He's at home. He's a low-end tight end 1 in points per game this year. I'll go Strange over Ferguson and Waller. Adunze or Terry? Right now, Terry. Adunze's not practicing, and that's alarming. We're going to have to keep an eye on that one. And now officially, if he is able to go, he might be less than 100%. Now, obviously, if he plays, he has to be considered. But I think right now we got to put Terry in there. I think right now we have to put Terry in just because Terry's going to play. At least that's the expectation. Rome may not play. Let's see. Happy Thursday. Let me know if you have any questions. Would I start Tyrod, Shuck, not McCarthy, or Mary? Tyrod. I would probably play Tyrod. And obviously Tyrod, just because he's in a good matchup, I'm not feeling super confident about him, but like that's pretty much all I have to go off of. He's in a good matchup against the Miami Dolphins. They've been giving up a lot of points and a lot of production to opposing passing games this year. So Tyrod had a decent game last week. He's at home once again. Miami has not been great on defense this year. Tyrod. Shuck is on the road against Tampa. That's a little tougher. McCarthy has been awful. I guess you could just go Mariota. He's been a streamable play this year. It's on the road against Minnesota. That's a little bit tougher. That's a little bit of a tougher spot for Mariota. But he has been pretty decent this year, actually, like from a streaming perspective. If Mariota plays, maybe that's where I would go. I guess Washington is better than the Jets. Actually, I don't know that that's true. Mariota, I guess, has a little bit more consistency this year, and I guess I would slightly lean him over Tyrod. Even though on the road against Minnesota is a little bit more volatile. Oh, here we go. Breaking news. Amon-Ra is... Wow, he's playing. He's playing. Amon-Ra is going to play tonight. Well, according to Jeremy Fowler, he gave a thumbs up. Thumbs up, Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra, St. Brown will play. Damn, that's crazy. Suffered a strain last week, and he's going to give it a go. Okay. Let's revisit Thursday Night Football. Amon-Ra St. Brown is active. You have to play him if you have him. You have no choice. You have no choice. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's been a wide receiver one this year. He's been a high-end wide receiver one this year. You have to play Amon-Ra. Let me let my Discord folks know. Let me let my Discord folks know. Amon-Ra, active. He has to be in your lineup if you have him. You can't sit him. You can sit him if you're comfortably in the playoffs and you have no, and you have no concerns about your playoff standing and nothing can change for you this week going into the playoffs. Then sure, sit him. Actually, that's more reason to play him because you have nothing to lose. But to that point, if you have to win and in, and you have Amon-Ra, you have to play him. Gotta play him if you have him. Okay, that elevates the floor of Jared Goff. If you have Goff, he's a top 6 or 7 quarterback for me. Official, maybe more like top 7 or 8, just because we don't know what to expect with Amon-Ra. But I think Goff's floor is stronger now with Amon-Ra playing. JMO, you're still firing up. Jahmyr Gibbs, duh. I would say David Montgomery is a sit. And I would probably say Isaac Tesla is a little too difficult to trust. Although he should have a role because the Lions are now down not just Sam Laporta, but they're down Brock Wright as well. So they have a black hole at tight end that needs to be filled. So Tesla could come through some low end appeal, but he will be a little bit tougher to trust. He's going to be a little bit tougher to trust with Amon-Ra active. Yeah. If you oops, there go my glasses. If you have him, you have no choice. You have to play him. Amon-Ra. All right. That was just my quick rehash of Thursday Night Football. Let me get back to it. Do I drop Purdy for Jaden Daniels? You have Dak. Sure. That's fine. Purdy, if you really need Purdy, who did have a nice game in a bad matchup this past week, he's got a great matchup week 15 against Tennessee. So, that is appealing for Purdy. That is appealing. But if you have Dak Prescott, he's probably not coming out of your lineup anyway at this point. That passing offense is just too strong. It's too good. The floor is so high. So sure, if you want to roll the dice and gamble on Jaden Daniels and drop Purdy to do it, that's fine because you have Dak. Better flex start: Michael Wilson, Christian Watson, or Vidal. I mean, Michael Wilson was amazing without Marvin Harrison. Christian Watson has been good as well, and it's a good matchup against the Bears. I guess I would say, if Marv is out, Wilson is pretty enticing. Watson has been on a bit of a heater as well. And the Cardinals will throw the ball 50 times because they can't run it. Love is the better quarterback, but Jacoby has the better volume. If Marv is out, I will say Michael Wilson for the floor. But if you need to swing for the fences, if you need upside, then Watson. I would not play Vidal just because you have some good wide receiver options, and Hampton will be back. It is expected to be back. Yeah. So let's wait and see what the status is of Marvin Harrison. But then if he's out, Wilson floor, Watson ceiling. Let's see. Adunze saw this question came from Twitch. Thanks for anybody who's watching on Twitch. I simul stream over there now. Odunze, Sutton, Genty for the flex in a must-win. Genty gets the Broncos this week. That's awful, but he will get volume. Sutton is on the other side of this game, gets the Raiders. Pretty good matchup. And then Odunze is not practicing currently with, I think, a foot or an ankle injury. It doesn't matter. It does matter, but he's not practicing, so he's difficult to vouch for right now. Genty, and I don't feel super strongly about it just because Genty, I think, is a good player. The Raiders' offense, and more in particular, their offensive line is bad. And Denver's got a great defense, so it's probably going to be rough sledding for Genty. But if you have PPR scoring, you could be bailed out by that. If it's standard scoring, it's a little bit tougher, but then the wide receivers aren't getting points for catches either, so I would still vouch for Genty. Hopefully you have PPR scoring and you could take advantage of Genty maybe catching the ball out of the backfield. I think you have to go Genty here with Odunze banged up, not practicing. And the Broncos' passing offense hasn't been great. They had a better game this past week against Washington, but Sutton has taken a back seat in a lot of weeks recently to Troy Franklin. Now Pat Bryant appears to be emerging. I'll take the volume in Genty. I don't, again, feel super strongly about it, but give me the running back that you spent a premium pick on, or if you didn't draft him, you probably, you traded a decent bit to get him. Play Genty and just hope for a decent floor. I would play Genty. And I understand it's not great. The matchup's not great. Jawan Johnson or Brenton Strange. It's a tough matchup on the road for Jawan. But he's getting a lot of targets. The targets were there last week. The production necessarily wasn't, though. Strange, again, on the other hand, he is a tight end 1 in points per game, but he's missed a decent amount of time, so that statistic is a little bit loaded. Jawan contends with Chris Olave and Devon Vele. Now, Devon Vele. Strange contends with Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington, the ghost of Brian Thomas. I guess there are more mouths to feed in Jacksonville, so I will slightly lean Jawan. But either one should be fine as a low-end tight end 1. And the Saints should be trailing because they're playing the Bucs on the road. So that should be more passing volume for New Orleans. I guess you could say the same thing about Jacksonville, and that point total is expected to be high. Jawan. I'll take Jawan. And then the Browns defense or the Bucs, I'll take Cleveland. Myles Garrett's a monster. He's got like 55 sacks this year by himself. The Titans' offense has been bad. They're at home. Cleveland is. Tampa is as well, and it's a good matchup against the Saints. But the Titans are they haven't been good, and the Cleveland defense is one of the better defenses in the NFL. Maybe one of the best, but not just better. They are that good. Myles Garrett is a one-man wrecking crew. They have good pieces. They still have Mason Graham, right? He didn't get, or did he get hurt? One of their defensive tackles got hurt. He's limited. He's okay. Yeah, I'll go Cleveland. Start 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. Worthy, Franklin, 80, Mitchell, Marks, Charbonnet. Worthy gets Houston. I don't like that. Franklin gets the Raiders. I don't like that because of the emergence of Pat Bryant. It's not the matchup. It's the other players that Franklin is contending with. 80 Mitchell's interesting in a great matchup against Miami. Marks should anyway get some volume, but it's a bad matchup against Kansas City. And then Charbonnet gets the goal line work, but he's a pretty inefficient player. It's not a bad matchup against Atlanta for Charbs. I I think I would flex Woody just you're hoping for some volume. You're just hoping for some volume. And then I guess go back to the well with Franklin just because it's full point PPR, so I do want to and you have to play a wide receiver anyway. I guess Franklin because Worthy hasn't been great on the whole anyway. And it's an awful matchup against Houston. Franklin gets a good matchup against Vegas, so I think that's where I'll go. Mitchell also gets a good matchup, but Franklin's been a little bit more consistent this year. Mitchell had a spike week, but was pretty volatile up until that point. I guess I'll say Franklin and Marks. I want to like A.D. Mitchell, but I think I need to see a couple weeks in a row before I definitively say yes on him. I think he's good, and I think his chances, of being viable is certainly going to stick. But we need to see some consistency first. I'm not trying to poo-poo A.D. Mitchell. I do think he will have. It's certainly possible he's relevant, fantasy relevant for the remainder of the season. But let's see some consistency first. I'll say Franklin and Marks. I seem knowledgeable. I appreciate it. I do my best. So a 1 p.m. slate, like a guys to fire up. Let me see. I mean, I will admit I'm not a DFS guy. I am okay telling you like there are probably better people out there for DFS. I'm happy to talk shop and work through a lineup with you. I'll take looking at good matchups and go from there. So I'm happy to look, but I will admit, there are probably other folks out there who do DFS better than I do. I am not I'm not too big to admit that. I'm whatever. I'm just here talking shop. But I'm happy to help. I mean, for this week, trying to think like who could be like a decent discount. I guess I'd be curious to know what Jacoby Myers' price is. I'm sure it's higher now than it was in recent weeks. He's in a good matchup and has taken over, presumably as the team's wide receiver one. In that matchup, Alec Pierce, great matchup, continues to do big things. Had a nice game last week against a brutal Texans defense. There's probably some decent punt plays at tight end where you can go, like a Darren Waller. Or Zach Ertz. I'd be curious to know what Zach Ertz's price is. I'm trying to think of like some Michael Wilson. If Marv misses, Michael Wilson should be a solid, like not too expensive play. He might be a guy that's worth getting in there now at a reduced price if you're trying to set a lineup early. Michael Wilson could be a good guy. Kamani Vidal could be. Well, crap, he doesn't play Sunday. Wait, do the Cardinals play in the 1 o'clock window? They may not. I'm gonna have to take another look. They're playing the Rams. They're definitely playing in the afternoon slate. Let me come back. I will come back to this one. I will come back to that question. Give me some time to take a look at the schedule. We'll come back to that. Is this Amon-Ra is a decoy? Sure, maybe, but like I don't want to play that game. If I have him, I'm going to feel like I have to play him. It's certainly possible he's operating at a lot less than 100% tonight. Even probable, but he's a top 6 wide receiver on the year. I gotta play him. If he's active, I gotta play him. Yep, Amon-Ra is active. He is. So again, fire him up. And thanks for joining from Discord. I know I'm trying to bounce back and forth between the two. I just realized I forgot to let my Discord know that I was live, so they'll forgive me. Maybe they won't, but in a mad scramble, I forgot to fire that off to them. But yes, Amon-Ra is active, and personally, I think you got to play him if you have him. Kincaid or Jawan Johnson? I mean, Kincaid's been decent when he played this, when he's played this year, and it's a great matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals. I'll go Kincaid assuming Kincaid plays, if he's making his return this week, and he's practicing in a limited fashion, so it's certainly possible. I'll take Kincaid. The Bengals are as beatable a matchup for opposing tight ends. Really, like a lot of different play. A lot of different. Yeah, I'll go Kincaid. It's a good. Yeah, the Bengals are beatable by pretty much anybody. So Kincaid is fine with me. Is that game in the 1:00 slate? I gotta get. No, there's no way, right? They made this. Oh, it is. It is in the 1:00 slate. There you go. Dalton Kincaid could be a solid play as far as not too expensive for your DFS lineup in the 1:00 slate. The Cincinnati Bengals are not good against opposing tight ends. You could go with that. All right, let's see what else we got. RJ Harvey or Scary Terry? Harvey's got the Raiders. Terry's got the Vikings and Marcus Mariota. Harvey was not super efficient last week, but he scored, so you don't care. He did his thing. That's probably where I would go. It's a great matchup against the Raiders. He should be a solid RB2. Vegas is very beatable on the ground. I worry a little bit about McLaurin. He's clearly still a great player. He had a great game when healthy, McLaurin is still an awesome wide receiver. On the road against Minnesota, look, Minnesota's offense stinks, but their defense is better, and their secondary in particular is solid. I think I would go Harvey. I'll play the matchup and take the volume. Even in full PPR, I'll take Harvey. I'll take Harvey. Yeah, I'll take Harvey against the Raiders. Pitts, Strange, or Juwan. So Pitts is certainly interesting if Drake London doesn't play again. Maybe that's where I go. He had a nice day this past week. It's a tough matchup against Seattle, but at least it's a home game. Strange is also at home and has been solid when he's played. I would probably go. I think there's fewer mouths to feed if Drake London is out for Atlanta. So probably a consolidated target share. If London is out, I would go Pitts. If London is active, I'll say I think I said Juwan over Strange earlier, just because consolidated target share. Shuck's been decent. And Juwan is getting a lot of targets. I will say Pitts if London is out, Juwan over Strange if London plays, and then I'm not as interested in playing Pitts. Yeah. Depends on the status of Drake London. 2 wide receivers and a flex. Nico, Olave, Devontae Smith, Terry McLaurin, Debo. Well, definitely Nico, and honestly, definitely Olave. I may have been wrong about Olave. I thought he was a sell candidate at the trade deadline just because I was worried about the offense. I was worried about Tyler Shuck. Um, but he's been just fine with Shuck in there. In fact, he's probably been unlocked a little bit more, and especially without Rashid Shaheed anymore. Olave has been solid. I think you have to play Olave. And then I would probably say Devontae Smith slightly over Terry McLaurin. It's just, again, it's a really bad. The Eagles' offense hasn't been good this year, and Devontae recently has been just okay. But I guess I trust Jalen Hurts more than I trust Marcus Mariota. Neither are great matchups. I'll take Devontae Smith over Terry. Terry looked great last week, I will say that. But this is a different, on the road, and the Viking. Yes, the Broncos have a good defense too, but at least Washington was at home. Now they have to play another solid defense, but on the road, I'll go Devontae. I trust Jay. I guess and I know Jalen Hurts hasn't been great. I know he hasn't been good, but I'll take Devontae over Terry. I don't have super confidence in that, to be completely honest with you. But definitely Nico, definitely Olave. Yeah. I lean Devontae, the better player, but that's kind of a coin flip. Ravens or Bucks D? Tampa. New Orleans offense has been better than I thought it would be, but it's still a division game at home. Tampa has solid pieces. They haven't had they haven't had the best year on defense, but they should be fine at home against an inferior division opponent. I'll take Tampa. Now, I guess you could say the same thing about the Ravens. Pittsburgh's offense hasn't been great, but I think I trust a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers. Trust a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers more than I trust a 26-year-old rookie Tyler Shuck. I guess. um, Tampa at home against New Orleans feels safer to me. Just going up against Shuck, no Kamara. Olave's been really good, but they should be fine. I would think they play with a lead. They're getting healthy on offense, so I would think they have no issues scoring. That's going to put them in advantageous situations. While I do expect the Ravens to beat Pittsburgh, that's just that's a expectation based on nothing. We know how football works, especially division games, and a prideful organization like Pittsburgh. Like they're gonna. Is it unlikely? Yeah, maybe. But could they win? Of course they could win. I would probably give them a better chance to win than New Orleans. So, I like my defenses playing with leads. I like my defenses having multiple scores to work with, to tee off on the quarterback, increase the chance to for the offense to make mistakes, and turn that into sacks and turnovers. I'll take Tampa. I think I feel a little bit more strongly about their chances than Baltimore. Not that I don't think Baltimore will win. But I think the gap between Tampa and New Orleans is wider than the gap between Baltimore and Pittsburgh. And Jaden Daniels did fully practice today. If he plays, it's gonna be tough to trust him in his first game. But if your options are Tyler Shuck, Tyrod Taylor, the bottom of the barrel, then I would probably play Jaden Daniels and just hope for the best. Not that it's a great situation. Let's see. If Jaden Daniels plays. Oh, okay. If you have Daniels, well, or I guess actually, sorry, whether or not you have Daniels, I guess that doesn't matter. If Daniels plays, I guess that makes me feel a little bit better about Terry. But keep in mind, it is his first game back from suffering a dislocated elbow. So I mean, that's a significant thing to come back from. So, we all know what Jaden Daniels can do and what he's capable of, but we do generally, you want to err on the side of caution the first game back from a multi-week absence. So that would give me a slightly more confidence in Terry. I think today, currently, right now, I still slightly lean Devontae Smith. But if Daniels is active, fully, no injury designation, good to go, and you want to go with Terry, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. And if Terry's active, then Debo's not in the consideration for me here because Terry's the team's wide receiver 1. So I would always pick Terry over Debo. Therefore, I would pick others over Debo. Yes. So do you start? Yes. If you have Amon-Ra, look, I know it's possible he does nothing tonight. It truly is possible that he has a low output and that he doesn't do well. But it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you may very well be in a must-win situation. It's week 14. It's possible if you have a playoff spot clinched. Great, awesome. But you gotta rock with him. You have to. If you have him, I think you gotta play him. I'm sorry in advance if he doesn't do very well and does in fact turn out to be a decoy, but we're talking about a slam dunk bona fide top 6 wide receiver every given week or any given week. And it's a great matchup. It's a beautiful matchup against the Dallas Cowboys secondary. You gotta play him. You have to drop someone for a kicker. Well, I don't want to drop it. I don't want to drop Emmanuel Wilson if you have Jacobs. I guess I would drop one of those 2 tight ends. And I know Andrews' rest of season outlook looks good. Waller's rest of season outlook looks good. I would wait. I would not do this yet. Here's why. I want to make sure Lamar Jackson is playing this week, and I think he will, but he didn't practice today. So let's press pause on this. But the one guy I'm not dropping here is Emmanuel Wilson because you have Josh Jacobs. This is that time of year where if you already have the handcuff, just keep him. Protect yourself from any potential worst-case scenario. Knock on wood, hopefully that doesn't happen. If you have a stud running back and you have his backup, don't break that up. Let's press pause on that. You don't have to make a roster move yet. Wait until the weekend. If Lamar is back practicing, I probably would advocate dropping Waller. I know Waller is a trendy tight end option and pick up and stream for the rest of the season for the playoffs, but I will slightly, for now, lean Andrews because even though Lamar has been less than 100%, he's the better quarterback than Tua. I guess you could drop Jaden Higgins, but he looks good, but I guess you could drop him if you want to keep Andrews and Waller, because you have some deep options at wide receiver. So I guess you could go Higgins. Yeah, I'm on Raz is a dog. So I was obviously like a little bit more interested in Tesla if Amon-Ra was out. He could still be viable. One, if Amon-Ra's operating at less than 100%. That doesn't mean that Amon-Ra can't still end up delivering. But he could still be viable, Tesla, because Amon-Ra's at less than 100%. And they have no tight end. Like, Who's there? Penei Sewell might be their tight end at this point. No Sam Laporta, no Brock Wright. So it's going to be JMO, whatever Amon-Ra can give them, and Tesla in the passing game. And who's Tim Patrick? Is he still there? There's some, or no, he moved on. They have another guy. Forgive me for forgetting, but over, who are we play? Is Tesla being played over any of these other names? I could probably play him over. Do I dare say to play him over Brian Thomas? I don't know if I'm that ballsy. But I guess he could. I guess he could. It's a tough spot. Little less trustworthy. He's a little less trustworthy. He's probably more on the wide receiver 4 radar. Tesla. So it depends on who your other options are. Pick 3, Waddle. Waddle's, for the most part, been good. He didn't have a great week last week, but I'll go back to the well with him. No bad weather in New York to worry about. Waddle. Jacoby Myers came on super strong last week. He's at home in a good matchup against Indy. I'll take Jacoby. And I think I'll take Terry. I'll take those second, third, fourth names. I'll take Waddle, who has been great this year on the whole. Jacoby Myers looks like he's rounding into form in the Jags offense. And Terry came back to life in a great match, or in a tough matchup last week, and delivered. It's another bad matchup on the road against Minnesota, but it's a talent level tier break for him between him and Brian Thomas and A.D. Mitchell and Quentin Johnston. And if Jane Daniels comes back, that's even more of a boost, theoretically. I'll take those not middle, 2, 3, and 4. Waddle, Jacoby, Terry. Agreed, Evan. What's going on, Evan? Tesla and the pick 3 are separate questions. Got it. Tesla's a wide receiver 4. Obviously, he's got some upside, but his floor is probably, it's 0 to 2 points, or like a very low output. 0 to 4 or 5 points. Maybe he catches like he could have a big play, but maybe be limited to just that. Tough to trust with Amon-Ra active. Tough to trust. And yeah, agreed, Evan. I'm playing Amon-Ra. You have to. He's been a stud for you. He's been an anchor for you all season long. You got to go to him. Sport Dog. Play Burrow, play JMO, play Pickens. Yup. Marks and Warren at running back. Bowers, Shakir, Godwin. Yeah, no, this... I would maybe consider Pierce over Godwin with Evans returning. And I do think, like, Alec Pierce looks incredible. I think that's what I would do. Pierce came through in a brutal matchup last week. I would play Pierce, I think, over Godwin. But everything else looks good to me. And obviously, we'll get London in there if London is active. But right now, there's no way to know. And you want to handcuff McCaffrey? I would honestly, just going back to keep your running backs. I would drop Godwin for Brian Robinson. Godwin has not really done a whole heck of a lot this year, and now both Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan, I forgot to mention his name, they had their practice windows open. Your wide receivers are good. Pickens, JMO, Shakir, London when healthy. Alec Pierce has emerged. You don't need Chris Godwin, Sport Dog. I would drop Godwin to pick up Robinson. And yes, I would do it because you have McCaffrey. I would drop Godwin. You don't need Godwin. Your wide receivers are good, and he's the odd man out there. He's the odd man out. Yeah, pick up Robinson, drop Godwin. That's 100% what I would do. Evan, pick 4 between Brian Thomas, Michael Wilson, Amon-Ra. Oh, this is super flex. Am I saying everybody but Brian Thomas? I think I'm saying everybody but Brian Thomas. I mean, Brian Thomas has been he's not been good. That's an understatement. And especially with Marvin Harrison looking unlikely to play, I want to play Michael Wilson. Amon-Ra, you have to go with tonight. I would play Shador because it's super flex. Play the quarterback. Not and it's not like it's super scary against the Titans. Yeah. And then I would play Igbuka over Brian Thomas first. I know Igbuka has struggled, but Brian Thomas has been worse. So, yeah. Everybody but Brian Thomas, Evan. That's where I'm going. And then pick 3 between Michael Wilson, Metcalf, A.D. Mitchell, and Sutton. I don't trust Metcalf, but I think you have to play him. It's not a bad matchup. I mean, I would definitely play Michael Wilson, assuming no Marvin Harrison. I guess I would play Sutton of this group just because it's a good spot against the Raiders. And then between Metcalf and A.D. Mitchell, oh, God. I mean, Metcalf has been bad. I don't know that I'm willing to go that far. I'll say Metcalf is your floor play, Evan, but it's a boring, awful floor play. But I think his floor is higher than A.D. Mitchell's. But A.D. has the higher ceiling. So it depends, how risk averse can you be? What is your risk tolerance? If you need to swing for the fences, I would say A.D. Mitchell. If you want to play it safe and you feel okay about the rest of your lineup, the rest of your team against your opponent, then maybe play Metcalf. And then I would play Michael Wilson and Sutton for sure. If you like them, if you like the matchup and you want to play a guy, I'm not going to try to tell you to change how you feel. That'd be insane. I just have no confidence in Brian Thomas at this point. I have no confidence in Brian Thomas at this point. He has done so little. He has done so little. So I get it. The matchup is good. So maybe he's fine at home. And again, if you have confidence in a player, play him. Even if I tell you I don't like the spot or I don't like the situation, and you disagree, by all means, play the player you want to play. I don't know what else to say about Brian Thomas. He's been so underwhelming. I know I got a couple questions to answer that are non-member questions, but I got to get to the member questions first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. What's going on, E111? Good to see you. Need one for your third flex. Montgomery, Kupp, Vele, DJ Moore. Montgomery tonight. Montgomery's tough to trust. Kupp is tough to trust, even though the matchup's not terrible. Vele came to life last week, but I don't know that I necessarily want to chase that. And DJ Moore against the Packers. Not DJ Moore. Not Kupp. It's between Montgomery and Vele for me. Is the 7 and 8 mean you get 7 points for a receiving touchdown and 8 for a rushing touchdown? If that's the case, then I may just roll the dice with Montgomery and hope for the best and hope it just falls into the end zone. The Cowboys are better up front, and Montgomery has not been getting a lot of opportunities, though, so that's what makes it challenging. That's what makes it tough. Montgomery floor, Vele ceiling, I guess. I don't know that there's a ceiling there for Vele, but in half PPR, I guess he could come through with some volume. That's the case. All right, then maybe just go with Montgomery and hope he falls into the end zone in a matchup where there should be a lot of points scored. Just know Montgomery's not getting, and I know you probably already know this, Montgomery's just not getting the usage that he used to. Now, maybe he's a little bit more involved tonight because Amon-Ra is less than 100%. And there's no tight end for the Lions to speak of. Not only are they down Sam Laporta, they also don't have Brock Wright. So, Montgomery could come through underneath check down guy in the passing game because there's no tight end to speak of. I'll say Montgomery with like 30% confidence, but I have less confidence than the other three. I'll say Montgomery. So again, if you like AD Mitchell, so play AD Mitchell over Metcalf. If you like AD Mitchell, that one I feel enough. If you like that player, Metcalf has not been great. So yeah, play AD Mitchell. But I would definitely play Wilson and Sutton. Yeah. And look, if you believe in Brian Thomas, you like the situation, yes, Parker Washington's on the injury report as well, then play Brian Thomas. I guess if you were to say, pull one from this lineup, it would be Egbuka, actually, assuming Marvin Harrison is out, because Michael Wilson was on a heater without Marvin Harrison, and Egbuka has been quiet recently. That would be my pivot to your question, like if you want to play Brian Thomas. Okay. I have my spot in line. Fear not. This is where I'm at. Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. Man, I don't really feel great about Bo Nix, but he was good last week against Washington, and he's got another good matchup against the Raiders. Daniels in his first game back against the Vikings on the road. Not a great matchup by the numbers. Dislocated elbow will not prevent Daniels from running, but again, it's his first game back from missing a couple of weeks from what looked like a pretty serious injury. I think I'll go Nix. I don't love it, but it's a good matchup by the numbers, and maybe we're catching some positive momentum here after a good week last week against Washington. And then we'll play Jaden Daniels in the fantasy playoffs. I'll take Nix. Yeah. Daniels versus like Tyrod or Tyler Shuck. Play Daniels. But Nix at least is a guy that we drafted with some expectations and some confidence this year, and he's had some decent weeks. It's been mostly down weeks, but last week was a good one, and this is a good matchup, so I'll take Nix. Let's see. 3 wide receivers, 2 backs, and a flex. I would play Amon-Ra. I would play Nico. I would play Shakir because Rome is not practicing right now, so I don't feel great about him. So I'll take Shakir against Cincinnati. I'll play your 3 running backs. Play Kyron against the Cardinals. He should be fine there. Great matchup. Judkins should be fine against the Titans. Should get all the work he can handle. Dylan Sampson's not practicing. And Monangai looked great last week in a bad matchup. So let's go back to the well with him. Again, especially with Rome hurting, potentially missing this game. Somebody else, they're going to have to find other ways to pick up the slack there. So that could come from the running backs. I would play Amon-Ra, Nico, and Shakir, and then I would play your 3 running backs. That's what I would do. I like Jaden Higgins, but that's a tough matchup against Kansas City. Uh, 6-point passing touchdowns, Goff, Burrow, Mahomes. Jeez, those are some really, really good options. Man, I'm inclined to say Goff tonight because he has Amon-Ra. Amon-Ra's playing. I mean, Burrow's getting T. Higgins back, so that's a big deal. But the Cowboys' defense, specifically their secondary, their passing defense, has been bad this year. Every single game, they've been bad. And Goff does very well historically at home. Burrow looks great this week, but on the road, in a tougher matchup by the numbers, Mahomes at home, but in a tougher matchup by the numbers, I'll play Goff. Wow. Goff over Burrow, Goff over Mahomes. Yeah, it's close. Mahomes in a brutal matchup against Houston. Burrow should be fine, but Goff has Amon-Ra against the Cowboys. Goff. Okay, let's see. Dropped Goddard for Ertz. That's fine with me. Ertz is in a good spot against the well, Ertz has just been piling up a ton of volume, so that's fine with me. And the Eagles' offense hasn't been great, so I'm okay with that. Waiver wire: Godwin, Worthy, Mooney, Neal, Hunt, Tootin, Rodriguez. I mean the running backs. I'm not worried about any of those wide receivers. Tootin is interesting, and Chris Rodriguez is interesting. Hunt is in a committee with Isaiah Pacheco. But Tootin has flashed a little bit of upside as the younger player, so I'm a little bit more interested in that. And Rodriguez is his team starter, so maybe I would say Rodriguez first. Neal, I only really trust Chris Olave and to a lesser extent Juwan Johnson. I would say Rodriguez is the top guy, followed by Tootin. And the running backs in general are who I prefer. We always want running back depth, but especially now as we enter the fantasy playoffs, I want as much running back depth that I can get. Chris Rodriguez as the starter, and then Tootin. And then Mechie over Mitchell. That's tough to do after last week. Either one of those guys could do well. I would probably put them neck. They're probably neck and neck in the wide receiver rankings. Either one could pop. Both could do nothing. Both could do well against in a good matchup against Miami. I would say I would slightly lean Mitchell, I guess, just because he was the one who had the better week last week. But they're probably neck and neck as far as like wide receiver 3-ish options, more like wide receiver 4-ish options against Miami. And Evan, do I trust Pat Bryant or Wicks? Wicks had a nice week last week, but he's been difficult to trust. Bryant had a nice week last week and unfortunately has no track record. I will say Wicks. It's a good matchup. Yes, Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden appear to be coming back, but if they do return, it would be their first game back from a lengthy absence, especially Jaden Reed. Better quarterback play in Love compared to Bo Nix. Good matchup against the Bears at home. I don't have a ton of trust in him, but I'll take Wicks. I'll take Wicks. and then sit one, Rice, A.J. Brown, Harvey. Not Rice. And Harvey has a decent floor against the Raiders. Wow. I guess AJ. I don't have a ton of confidence. You definitely have to play Rice. You have to play Rice. I know it's a bad matchup, but Rice is a top 3 or 4 wide receiver this year. Got to play Rice, and I guess I would take the floor of R.J. Harvey in a good matchup against the Raiders. He's getting a lot of volume, and I'll bank on that. I would play Rice, and I would play Harvey. I know A.J. Brown had a massive game last week, but he has been mostly inconsistent this year. And I know Harvey doesn't have as much of a track record, but he's the guy now. J.K. Dobbins ain't walking through that door. Never drafting Lamar again. See, here's the thing, though. You might draft Lamar again if his value dips. I mean, just last year, he was the league MVP for the second time. If his ADP drops next year and he's fully healthy, I might be telling you to draft Lamar next year. But that's next year's problem. Oh, and you have J-Mo. Yeah, play J-Mo over AJ. I still like him tonight despite Amon-Ra being active. Let's see. Debo, Michael Wilson, or Troy Franklin. Pick 2. The first 2. Debo is healthy now, so that's good. Obviously, you don't feel great about him losing all those targets to not just Zach Ertz, but now a healthy Terry McLaurin. But he could be getting Jaden Daniels back, and even if he doesn't, I think he's healthy now, so I'll take that. And Michael Wilson should be stepping back into the wide receiver 1 role. Marvin Harrison looking unlikely to play this week, so I feel good about Wilson. Franklin could be losing opportunities to Pat Bryant, and also the Broncos' passing offense has been very up and down this year, so I'll take those first 2 names, Debo and Michael Wilson. And Debo does still get some of those wide back opportunities for Washington because their backfield is in such flux. It is a good call out that Bo had a bad game against the Raiders. I will say that was a short week. Of course, it was a home game for Denver. So at least now he's had he's had a full week off, like in preparation for this game. I know he's been mostly very up and down, but it is a good matchup. I still think yes. Only because it's Daniel's first game back, and it's not a great matchup by the numbers. I know typically we ignore matchups when it comes to a player of Jaden Daniels' caliber, but it's been a weird year for Washington. Daniels hasn't been as good on a per-week basis as he was last year. I know he's missed time, but even when he's played, he's not been, again, he hasn't reached the bar that he set last year. I would probably wait a week on him. I know Nix hasn't been great either, but I think I would play him in a good matchup. I think I would. Oh, those are option. No, okay. No, I'm not playing any one of those waiver wire guys over the names that you mentioned. No. Play the dudes that you already have on your roster. Sorry, I didn't. I thought that was just like a generic guys to look at on the wire, not these are also options to start. No, I'm not playing any one of those guys. I'm not playing any one of those guys over the names mentioned. I mean, Monungai is on the injury report, so if he misses, then sure, pick up Rodriguez. But no, I would keep what you have. I would keep what you have. Let's see. Half PPR, one quarterback league. Caleb, Daniels, and Darnold. So, yeah, Caleb's been up and down, but there's been a lot of good from a fantasy perspective. Daniels, we don't know if he's going to play. Darnold should have more volume this week after doing nothing last week. I think that was mostly like the Vikings being incompetent. So Darnold should have to air it out a little bit more this week. And it's not a terrible matchup. It's not a good matchup for Caleb. I will say that. The Packers defense is tough on the road for Caleb. That's a tough spot. I would play. I would play Darnold, I think. Again, I do have some trepidation with Jaden Daniels in his first game back, if he plays. On the road against a tougher defense. Yes, the Vikings offense is putrid. Well, the Vikings quarterback situation is putrid, but their defense is decent. Their defense is solid. So that could be a tough matchup for him to come back to. Darnold should have to do more this week than he did last week on the road. And in the dome, no weather concerns. I'll take Darnold. I know Daniels would play in the dome as well, but that's not the point. That was more thinking of Caleb, who's on the road in Green Bay, where it'll be cold. I don't know what the weather is though in Lambeau. Sunday. Oh boy, 17 degrees on Sunday. Ooh man, that's gonna be frigid. Yeah, I'll play Darnold. I'll play Darnold and just hope he chucks it a million times to JSN in a road game where they have to air it out a little bit more than they did last week. Yeah. All right. We are at the end of the chat. Let me see if there are any last-minute injury updates from not just this game coming up, but any of the teams. Penei Sewell is active, so that's good. Yeah, no new injury updates. So that may be it for this evening. I can obviously keep it active a little bit longer in case anybody has any other last-minute thoughts. But again, one more time for tonight. Now that Amon-Ra is active, again, despite all the potential concerns about his usage and his role, I think you have to play him. I think you have to go with him. He is a stud wide receiver one, and I know that it feels volatile and it feels dicey to go with a guy who it was almost like you were hoping that he was ruled out in sort of a twisted way because of the concern of his usage tonight, but he's in, which means you got to rock with him. Goff is a top 6 or 7 quarterback tonight because he has Amon-Ra. J-Mo is still a very good play, a very strong play. I would assume he is the de facto wide receiver one tonight because Amon-Ra is operating at less than 100%. So J-Mo, Amon-Ra, both start. Gibbs, duh. Montgomery, tougher to trust. And I like Goff quite a bit. And then for Dallas, you're playing Dak, you're playing CeeDee, you're playing Pickens, you're playing Javonte Williams. I don't feel super strongly about you having to play Jake Ferguson. He's lost a lot of opportunities. CeeDee and Pickens are dominating the targets, deservedly and rightfully so. So Ferguson is kind of on the back burner. So you don't have to play him, even though he is attached to a good offense, and I guess you could do worse in theory. But I would probably rather prefer playing another option. But everybody else, Dak, CeeDee, Pickens, Javonte, all in your lineups for Thursday Night Football this final week of the regular season. I will be live 5 p.m. Eastern on Saturday for more start-sit help to definitively finalize and lock in your lineups. So be sure to tune in then. We'll have more practice reports to work off of, Friday's practice reports to talk shop on, and should be able to make a few more definitive calls. We'll get some status updates on Rome Odunze, Marvin Harrison, anybody else who's nursing an injury and may or may not go. Mike Evans, Amari and Hampton. That's a Monday game, so that's going to be a little trickier. But, hopefully we get a few more injury updates for those guys by Saturday. If you need anything between now and then, you can also join me in Discord. That's the second link in the description of this live stream and all the videos and streams on the channel. Free evergreen invite. I try to be active over there, especially if I'm not available for streams. You can catch me there, and I can answer questions, especially closer to the Sunday slate. And I think that'll do it. All right. Appreciate all my members who came in today. I saw Bobby. I saw Sport Dog. I saw Evan. I saw E111. And I think that was everybody. I think those were all the members. Those are all the members. Appreciate you guys coming in and hanging out this evening. Thank you, Juan Dier. I hope I'm saying that right, for the super. Much appreciated. And everybody for coming in and hanging out this evening ahead of a big matchup that should have a lot of fantasy implications between Dallas and Detroit. Again, I will be live on Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, for any additional start-sit help. So be sure to tune in then. As we kick off this final week of the fantasy regular season. Hopefully everybody's doing well. I guess now's a good time to just kind of say hopefully this channel has been more helpful than harmful for you this year as we quickly approach the fantasy playoffs. It's all over in a blink of an eye so quickly. It's obviously not over yet, but it's like I feel like week 4 was like last week. So hopefully it's been helpful. Hopefully the advice that I've given you has been more good than bad. I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm not always going to give you the right answers, but that's always the goal, is to give as many correct answers as I possibly can. So hopefully more often than not that happened for you this regular season. And of course I will be available and around for the fantasy playoffs. Starting for most of us after this week's slate of games. Okay, I think that'll do it. Best of luck with whatever your situation is tonight. Hopefully it goes your way, one way or another, and I will see you guys on Saturday. Thanks, everybody.